Welcome back, everybody, to Wollaton's Great Hall. This is episode 28. I can't believe I'm still doing this. So, yeah, yesterday, or not yesterday, but this past episode, we finished putting up the sculptural pieces and calling our hammer beam ceiling done. So there are my sculptural heads. Pretty happy with those. I went in and completed the paneling, put the paneling up, put a few finishing touches on that. It does not match the way the building looks right now. Today they have this part of the paneling up, and then they have a decoration molding type thing along here that actually mimics this with the little dots and this carving stuff, but we are not going to do that. And then they have actually removed the paneling that goes down the walls. The walls today are white. I feel like this room was paneled, and from the illustrations that I see from olden times, it looks as though this entire room was paneled in some rich dark wood, and so that is what I've decided to do. I'm going to try to decorate the hall, this great hall, in a little bit more of an Elizabethan feel, with tables and chairs as if it were set up for dining, which is what they would have used it for in Elizabethan times. That and assembly of people. It was a court, not a royal court, but landowners who were lords also held sort of a court where people would come and air their grievances, and they would do so in this room. What I'm working on right now is this fireplace, and I have started on it. I thought you might want to see how I am working on this. I went ahead and used torches, a couple of torches for the fire, and put my own little logs in there. I did not want a big roaring campfire in there. For one thing, it emits too much light and too much noise. So I have decided to go with torches, and I'm probably going to do that in many of the fireplaces throughout the house, because I'm finding that the campfires just are annoyingly loud, and there's no way to turn that down without turning down all of the sound effects, and so we're going to go this way. I toyed with the idea of just putting the logs in there and not having it lit, so it would be as if it was prepared for fire but didn't have the fire lit yet. But I went ahead and put the torches in so that we could have a little bit of a glow in there. And I have begun the build out of the fireplace itself. This is pretty much how it looks on the bottom part. I am going to continue putting up the rest of the decor on the fireplace. It is quite high. There is a medallion of the crest up there. I hope I've left enough room. It almost looks like, let me back off. No, I think it'll be okay. I may have made this section here a little too tall. I'm going to show you a picture of what I'm trying to reproduce. I toyed with the idea of using a poster, so I'm going to show you the picture here of the fireplace. I toyed with the idea of using a poster for this, but have decided against it because I think that I can build something that approximates it pretty well. The curves on the top may be a little bit of a challenge, but I think it's one that I can handle. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to put the measure out somehow, try to figure out the placement of those upright corbels that go in the, they go right here down, and then there's a little very thin piece of marble right here, and I may do this with a plank instead, because I don't think, yeah, I can't get the beam small enough. So let me get a plank. That is a plank. And let's see, that would be about right. I believe that is just about right. And these are roughly the width of this decor right here. So this one goes directly over this panel. And it's something that you can't see very well, but there is a raised panel in here. And this goes directly over the top of that. So I'm going to put that right there. And the same on the other side. I may not get the measurements quite right, but I know that if I make it symmetrical, it will look good. So directly above. Right there. And then on either side of this decor, which I think I may have a little wider than in real life. There is not one in the middle, but there is one on either side of this decor. So I'm going to go directly above that. It'd be easier if I were straight on. So there is one right there. When I say one, I mean a little upright piece of marble. So right there. And then there's another one right there. So directly above that. And then halfway in between. And then that will be pretty good, I think. Just eyeballing it because the grid, of course, doesn't line up with where I put this. That is the one drawback, is the grid redraws itself depending on where you place things. Okay, so that obviously is not perfect, but I think it will work. Okay, and then hanging down from that are some little buttons. They're little teardrop shapes, like what hangs down from this doodad right here. Little teardrop, and they're not that many of them. There's only 3. 2 are small and 1 is bigger. So I have to think about how I'm going to do those. I do not want to make spheres. I really do not. I may, because these are small, this is as small as they can be, I think I will just have one. I think that's what we're going to have to do. So just put one in the center. And I think I will shove it in a little bit. What if I put a light? Do I have any lights? I do, but they're in here. What if I put another light in? just temporarily. Yes, I still need to move my stuff. Let's put this here. Can I set one? Can I set one on here? Can I? I wonder. Never tried before, but let's see. I can, I think. Let's put it right here. That's a little better. You can see now. Okay, I want it right there. Why is it doing that? Okay, so shove that in. You know, I get really upset with myself that it takes so long to do this stuff and I'm so slow compared to other people. But I think, you know, in my own defense, it's because I'm doing all these little details that I want to be right. And I'm not just like putting lots of blocks in and doing stuff that is not as picky. We'll see when we get the other lighting in here whether or not all of this detail work is going to be worth the effort. We will endeavor to keep going. Now, above each of these is a Cordell. The Cordell on the picture is slightly curved. I am not going to do curves. I'm going to do, I could, I suppose, but I am going to do it with straight beams. So let's get the beam and figure out that's about the right size. That is too big, I believe. I have to decide what is going to be, no, I think it's going to have to be this size. And it does come all the way down. I'm pretty sure I made this a little taller than it needed to be, which is kind of unfortunate. Okay, that's the correct spot. I believe this is the correct angle. Let's try that angle. Let's see what happens. That might work a little better. Okay, not bad. Okay. Okay, that's not bad, not bad. And is this properly centered? Yes, I think so. Okay, so there's the first one. Got to check the placement on these. I want them to be perfectly centered over the little, whoops, There is a rose that goes right here. I'm kind of toying with putting it right here instead. It's a Tudor rose. Maybe I'll just put it in the center. That might look better. And the reason it's a Tudor rose is because the Tudors are the family of Henry VIII and Elizabeth I. And this house was built during the reign of Elizabeth. And in fact, the lord who built this place was really, really vying for having Elizabeth come and visit. She never did. Eventually, Charles did, but I don't believe he was the reigning monarch at the time. So that was a big disappointment for the lord who built the house. His name was Francis Willoughby. But nevertheless, that's why this is an Elizabethan era room, because it was built during her reign. Completed in 1588, in the 16th century. Pretty darn old. Now, I don't know if this fireplace was designed during that time, but it could have been. It could be original. I think it is. In the books, it looks like this is the design that was done for this room. I'll have to check that, but I believe it is. I believe it is designed for this room in the 1500s, which is kind of exciting if you think about it. Okay, so the next part, I need to put some uprights on top of these. So I'm going to do that. And push it back in there a little bit more. I think, yes. Should be about right. All right, so that's that part. This is, it's turned. Is that flat? Yeah, that's flat. Okay, that's better. Okay, so that goes in there. I think it needs to be bigger. And it goes back. So maybe it should stick out a little bit. Okay, so that's that. We'll do that with this. So that's that piece. Looks pretty structural, doesn't it? Okay, just for grins, just for, as they say, shits and giggles, do stick the Tudor rose right here. It's actually on the picture, it's down here, but I actually think it's going to look better here. And then there's a big medallion that goes up here. I'm calling it a medallion. It's kind of a big family crest type thing. Okay, so I've got it, I believe, on my desktop. In here. And it is called Tudor Rose. There it is. Now, I don't know how many of you might be, it's not that big, might be history buffs, but the Tudor Rose is red and white because it came about at the end of the War of the Roses. And it was called the War of the Roses because the symbol for the Lancasters, not the same Lancasters that are in Game of Thrones, the original Lancasters, was the white rose. Or no, not the Lancasters. Was it? Yeah. The Tudors and the Lancasters, or the Tudors and the Yorks. Anyway, two families. One had a white rose and one had a red rose. And I will stop as soon as we've placed this rose. And the end of the war came about because the two families married. And if I remember the story correctly, it was a marriage that was a secret and against the wishes of the elders of the family. The two warring parties married each other, and that ended the war. And so the symbol then of the ruling family became the red and the white rose together, and then the Tudors. I guess the Tudors came about because I'm going to have to look up my history. But one of the bloodlines turned into the Tudors, and the Tudors was Henry. Henry the VII, I believe, was the first Tudor monarch, and his son was Henry VIII, who everybody knows. But anyways, that's the story of the Tudor Rose, and it does look good there. It's quite a bit brighter in the game than it is on my desktop. But anyway, so the rest of this fireplace, the curvy part, I'm going to need to make some arcs with beams and pull that together. And I will probably record that because I think people might be interested in seeing that. I will probably record the putting together of it, probably not making the arcs because you've all seen that before. So anyway, that's all the time we have for right now. I hope you enjoyed it. The room is starting to come together. Next, we'll be making some custom furniture and completing the pipe organ, which is really a piano. And I'm excited about how this room is looking. I think it's looking really cool. And then we'll be putting up the paintings and tapestries and antlers and all kinds of great hall-ish looking stuff. So if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And subscribe so that you know that it's going to get finished and you can come back and see it. And you can get notices of when I've put up a new episode if you follow me on Twitter. And my Twitter handle is in the show notes. Thank you. Bye-bye.